Hey guys, I'm pretty excited for this video because as many of you know, it is the long-awaited split fish that I showed you guys. This is my bracelet design. Of course, I didn't create the fishtail, but the way that I joined them together is something that I just came up with while I was experimenting with my loom. So in order to make this bracelet, you'll need a lot of patience because it takes over an hour to make and over 100 bands. So I'm just giving you that warning right now ahead of time so you guys don't get all frustrated when you're watching this and be like, oh my gosh, why didn't you tell me? So I'm telling you now. A few things before we get started. One, check me out on Instagram. My username on there is Sarah Lynn T. I post tons of pictures of my crafts and I post pictures of my bracelets as well. Two, check out all of my crafty playlists, including my entire Rainbow Loom playlist, which will have all of my bracelet videos featured. Number three, stay tuned for my Crafty Friday videos because this Friday I'm doing some awesome crayon melting. Last but not least, tomorrow is my birthday, so my birthday wish is just for you guys to please click the thumbs up button on this video. Now, without further ado, let's get into splitting the fish. First of all, you need to set up a pattern with your bands because probably the most difficult thing about this bracelet is keeping track of how many bands you put on of what color at what time. You can see how I have mine set up. I have 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and follow that by a black in the middle. And my overall color pattern is 4 of one color, then white, 4 of another color, then white. This is the way I like to set up my loom. You can do it any way you want as long as you have 6 pins next to each other that form 2 triangular shapes. You're going to take your first band and make a figure 8 shape with it and wrap it around 2 pins. Grab another band and do the same exact thing. Now with the final side of the triangle, grab another band and just twist it like a figure 8 shape. Move on to the next triangle, so you're going to do the same thing, just grab a band and take it from the top peg to that bottom right peg. Now join the bottom 2 pegs together, and then you're going to take a final band and just twist that into a figure 8 shape around the final 2 pegs. This is why I have 2 rows of colors, so I'm going to use those red bands on the right triangle and the purple bands on the left triangle. I'm grabbing a red band and putting it around all 3 pegs on the right side. Then I'm taking a purple one and putting it around all 3 pegs on the left side. You always want there to be 3 layers of bands on each triangle, so here I'm adding another red band around all 3 pegs, and then on the other side I'm adding a purple band around all 3 pegs. Now we're going to take the bottom bands 1 peg at a time and pull them over the top 2 bands. So in this case you're going to pull both brown bands over the top. Move on to the next peg and do the same exact thing, again with that bottom left peg. Then pull those 2 bands over the peg. Moving over to the top center, do the same thing. And finally, on that top right, you're going to pull the brown bands over. Now you're going to push everything down and you're going to add another red band on the right side around all 3 pegs and then another purple band around all 3 pegs on the left side. Every time you add your 3rd colored band, you're going to put a black band or whatever color you want to connect the 2 triangles. You still have 3 layers of bands on all the pegs with the exception of the black one, which will have 4. Now it's time to pull the bottom bands over, so you're going to start with this one, always start in the same spot, then I'm moving to the middle and pulling that purple one over all the other bands. Go over to the bottom left, do the same thing, the top left, and repeat that step. Then to the middle, take the red one over all of the bands, and finally the top right, and just take that over all of the bands. You've probably figured out by now that you're doing the same thing every time, so you're going to add the triangle with the red band and the purple band over all of those pegs. Then you're going to take the very bottom band and pull it over every single band, always starting in the same exact spot every time. So you'll always start at that bottom right peg and then move in a clockwise manner all the way up to the top right. Now I'm adding a white band because that's the next color in my pattern, so I'm putting that around the 2 triangles of pegs. Same exact step, you're going to pull the bottom bands over, but this time since there's a black band right next to it, you're going to pull the black band over as well. And then just keep moving in a clockwise fashion. And when you get to that top middle peg, you're going to pull the red one and then the black one. Now you can see my color has switched, so I'm just adding that band around the 2 triangles again, and green on the left. Every time you pull a black band over, you're going to add a black band to connect them again, just to keep up with the pattern. I know some people hate it when I speed up footage, but seriously, this is just repeating the same exact step every time. You just pull the bottom band over the top two and make sure there are 3 layers of bands on the triangles at all times. The black connecting band doesn't count, so there can be 4 on those middle pegs when you have a black band. Keep going with this and make sure that you follow your pattern exactly. And for those of you wondering what the bottom looks like, here is a view of that. It won't start forming length for quite a long time, but you can just pull those first bands that you put on to kind of see what your bracelet's starting to look like. Now I'm showing you that I'm going to add more bands to my pattern to keep up with this because I don't want to forget where I am and ruin the color combinations. Now I've added quite a few more bands, and I'm going to pull this and you can see that it's going to create some length. And you can see the ladder is starting to form. And here it is, really super long. It's actually long enough for my wrist now. And I've just been repeating the same exact steps. So now I'm going to show you how to finish these off. Pull the bottom 2 bands over the top one. And do this on every single peg. You're going to pull those bottom green 2 and the black one as well. Then move on to the next one, do the same thing, onto that top one, do the same thing, onto the middle one, pull the oranges and the black over that top orange band, and finally the top right, you're going to pull those 2 orange bands over. Now take that single band on the top right peg and you're going to move it down to the bottom right. Do the same thing with the left triangle, take that band and move it up to the top peg. Then I'm taking another band and putting one on each set of 2 pegs. I'm going to pull the bottom bands up over that band I just placed, and the same on the other side. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the green side. So there will be 2 bands on that part and then 1 band on that part. Now I'm putting a white band over, and I'm going to repeat the same thing, just bring the bottom band up over the white band. Now I'm just pulling it down to make it easier, and I'm going to bring one side of the white band over to the other peg, and then I'm going to repeat this where the orange band is and just bring that white band to the other peg. Now a white band across, and you're going to grab the white bands from the left side and bring them over. Grab the white bands from the right side and bring them over. Now take one side of the band and you're going to remove it from the right peg and put it on the left peg. This will allow you to add your C-clip. Once your C-clip is secure, you can remove your bracelet from the loom. Now this might seem like the most difficult part, but it's really super easy. So as we all know, I used brown bands on my very first step so I could tell them apart from the rest of the bracelet easily. I'm going to slide my bracelet back through, and then you can tell that there are 3 sets of loops with the red band. So I'm going to take that first loop and I'm going to pull both of those red bands over to that top right peg. Now I'm going to grab my hook to make it easier and pull those 2 red bands over to the bottom right peg. Finally, the third loop of reds, and I'm going to pull that over to the left peg on the bottom. Now all my reds are hooked, so I'm going to move on to the left triangle and pull the purple loops over to the pegs. Continue with the top left peg, and then the final one will be that top middle peg. Now it's time to cut the brown bands. That's right, you're just going to snip them off. And it is not a waste of rubber bands because it helped us to put our bracelet together and hold it. So I'm removing all 6 brown bands, 3 from each triangle. And then you can just finish this bracelet off pretty much the same way that you finished the other end off. So you'll take one purple band and make sure you just move it over to another peg, and you can see I'm taking that right band and moving it over to the top peg. So now each color is only on 2 pegs. I'm skipping right to white, so I'm just going to put a white band over those 2 pegs on the left and then another white band on top of those red bands on the right. As you probably guessed, just pull the purple bands over the white band and then pull the red bands over the white band. Now grab the white band off of one peg and move it up to the other. And on the left side, do the same thing, pull it from the bottom peg to the top peg. Now you're going to place a white band around the top 2 pegs, pull the white bands from underneath and just bring them over. Finally, grab that single white loop off of one peg and just hook it to the other peg. Now you can take your C-clip from the other side and secure the bracelet. As long as you did everything right, you should have a split fish bracelet, and it's pretty darn awesome. So if you end up making your own, please use hashtag SoCraftastic and or hashtag splitfish on Instagram to show me. Which color combination of mine do you like better? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to check out all of my links in the description box, including the links to my Instagram and to my Rainbow Loom playlist. I also have told you at the beginning that I'm going to be having a crayon melting tutorial this Crafty Friday, so stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited for it. The bloopers that are coming up at the end of this video are actually from my Michael's craft supply haul that I posted on Monday, so that's why I'm in a different outfit. That's all. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Leave me some comments below, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye! What was I gonna say? Gorgeousness. Oh, my hair was messed up for that. Yeah. Because I feel like it. My nose is cold like a dog's. Woof woof. And I'm gonna do something with this for Crafty Friday. Oh my gosh, it's really cold when you make wind with canvases. I got this metal Mr. Sheffield.